unidentified woman had tried to get into the restaurant but was stopped by a security guard. The woman, the security guard, and a customer at the restaurant were killed in the blast. Authorities did not name those killed or injured, nor did they say who they thought might have been responsible. Russia's state RIA news agency released video of heavily armed law enforcement officers at the scene, which had to be closed off to the public. And crime rates have fallen to historic lows across the United States. The Department of Homeland Security says that homicides this year are on track to register the lowest level in at least 126 years. The department, citing by the nonpartisan think tank Council on Criminal Justice, it says homicides are down by 18% compared with the first half of last year. Carjacking crimes tumbled by 47%, motor vehicle thefts fell by 20%, robberies dropped by 17%, and residential burglaries declined by 13%. Compared with the first half of 2022, homicides are down by 51%. Lauren Biss, Assistant Secretary at the DHS's Office of Public Affairs, saying, quote, "It's no surprise that this drop in crime coincides with deportations of dangerous criminal illegal aliens. Common sense. When you remove criminals from the country, crime rates fall." And now Amazon's Zoox unit has won approval for a limited commercial deployment of its novel steering wheel-free robotaxis. The U.S. Auto Safety Agency says it's a first for the autonomous ride industry. Take a look.
What if your next driverless taxi
way.
had no steering wheel? That may soon become a reality. Amazon-owned Zoox has won the first U.S. approval for commercial deployment of a robo-taxi built without traditional human controls. The approval came from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or NHTSA,
That is a
allowing the
yikes.
company to begin charging for rides in Las Vegas once it completes state requirements. Here's NHTSA Administrator Jonathan Morrison.
Since our standards get into performance requirements for specific aspects, such as braking performance, they provided information and we received public comment, and we made that determination that their vehicle, as equipped, can meet all of those requirements and in fact exceed those.
The vehicle looks very different from a conventional car. It's an electric carriage-style robo-taxi with 2 rows of inward-facing seats and a top speed of 75 miles per hour. Federal officials say Zoox can deploy up to 2,500 vehicles in each of the next 2 years. The move comes as companies including Alphabet's Waymo and Elon Musk's Tesla race to expand driverless ride-hailing services across the U.S. The green light comes with added oversight. U.S. regulators
no
say
way.
the firm must report
I would
issues,
ride
including
more.
crashes and inappropriate stops.
I'd rather
Authorities
take my
also retain the
wheelchair.
power to revoke the exemption if major safety concerns emerge.
And a recent Cato Institute poll shows that a record number of young people support socialism, 6 in 10 in fact. More strikingly, 3 in 10 have a favorable view of communism. Of course, far fewer older Americans hold the same views, so what's to blame for the difference? With us is Dr. Kerry Ingraham, Senior Fellow at Discovery Institute and Director at the American Center for Transforming Education. Kerry, good afternoon, or good evening. Thanks so much for joining. Is there something happening in our education system that's causing this?
Yeah. The communist
Absolutely. What
teachers.
we have is a public education monopoly in this country where children for their 13 most formative years from K to 12 are inside of a monopoly that is teaching an anti-American worldview. They are not learning economic principles and the accurate history of our country, which has made our nation great, but instead they're receiving indoctrination in capitalism being evil and the people involved with that. And in turn, they're learning that socialism is a good thing, and even
They need
communism.
to fire the
And
teachers.
what we have with this public education monopoly in our country is truly a monopoly of the American mind. We've got to break that down and have free markets within education so that there's diversity of thought, as well as an accurate understanding of what makes our nation great, economic system that helps us prosper as our country, and that is capitalism. Students need to be taught that.
Of course, socialism is more than just an economic system, but that's a big part of it, as the communists say, seizing the means of production. But you say that teaching kids about the free market system is perhaps an antidote to this.
Absolutely. So what they're learning about socialism, and to your point, it's more than just an economic system, is it's being packaged as a way to promote freedom. But communism, socialism, that is the opposite of individual responsibility, personal liberties, personal freedoms. And so we need to make sure that its moms and dads are empowered to select a learning environment where their child is not going to receive lies fed to them as truth. And the way communism and socialism are taught today, it is not truthful. And that is getting kids on this path that when they exit their K-12 school years, they're eligible to vote around age 18. And what are they voting for? They're voting for things that they've been taught to be true, which simply are not. And so we've got to make sure we break down this public school monopoly, allow parents to select alternatives, and again, teach kids the truth. How our country was founded, capitalism, it spurs so much innovation, which is desperately needed in our country as well as in education. It also, these free markets, they drive down costs, they increase quality. And that's what we need in America today.
What's the best for both teachers and parents to do it?
Yes, we've got to make sure that schools are not controlled by these radical teacher unions who have agendas that are in lockstep with one political party that continues to get more and more radical, and make sure that the curriculum is solid, that they're teaching facts. Let's look back at history and see which economic systems work and how the preservation as well as the promotion of freedom helps people flourish
Along with
and
the
leads to better
Smithsonian.
lives. We also need to expose kids to the horrors of socialism and what that does to limit independence. It takes away personal responsibility, and in the end, it strips freedoms from individuals.
But Kerry, how do you get that message across to young Americans who say that they have it much harder than previous generations? They talk about the cost of housing and tougher job markets and all sorts of economic needs.
Yes, I mean, we have to respond. It is harder for young people today to purchase a home than in past generations. That is the reality. But bigger government, more regulations, that does not help. Where we are with our housing crisis in our country today is a result of a big government overreach, as well as overregulation. And so home builders are not able to keep up the supply to match the demand in our country for homes, and then prices continue to rise. The solution to that is smaller government, not more government, which socialism would do in our country to overregulate things. We've got to bring it back to the free market, supply and demand. Housing is a key part of that. And make sure that these regulations are not burdensome and making the end product far more expensive and delayed getting it to the American people.
As Kerry Ingram at the Discovery Institute, thank you so much, Kerry.
Thank you.